So I think the synonym for piracy is a challenge, and it's been perpetuated in the press and for good reason. But of course, BitTorrent is a protocol. It's a protocol very similar to HTTP. In fact, it was designed to be a replacement for HTTP for big objects, and it proved so good at that job that of course a lot of the pirated content is big objects, and you see these sites using HTTP and BitTorrent together to fulfill that task. Of course, it's not what the company is about. Of course, we're an entity designed to do good things with this technology, and there are many good things that we have done with it, and many use us for good activities from Facebook to Etsy to large science like the Large Hadron Collider, the Human Genome Project. I could go on. The technology, of course, is very capable, and anybody that has a task that needs to move large files often looks to our technology as the most efficient way to do that. We're very clear on this. We do not endorse piracy. We do not endorse copyright infringement. When we can, we work with these agencies to help in this struggle. But at the same time, we recognize that this is perhaps the preeminent challenge for the internet. As an open communications medium, of course, some good activities will be present and some less than good activities will also be present. The same is true with the interstate highway system. It's any open communications medium. And because of that, these pirate sites, of course, use our technology. They use HTTP, they use Microsoft, they use Linux, they use a lot of technologies. And our role in that is we do what we can, and we also recognize that this is an open system and it will always be open, and that in lies its power. The openness is what makes it, the internet, such a powerful force. So I think this relationship, if you will, is going to be the topic of conversation for quite a long time to come. And it will be the most interesting thing to watch shake out because, of course, video is such a powerful use case for the internet. Nobody probably saw that coming. And because video represents such a heavy use of the internet, it's placed a lot of strains naturally on the broadband world. So you'll want to see, or at least I hope we see, more collaboration at the technology level to help solve these problems. Of course, not all the problems are technology related, and that's one of the things I'll talk about tomorrow. But in so much that technology can be used to help this challenge, I think there are good solutions out there that we can marry with the OTT providers and the broadband world and all work together to help our collective consumers. At the end of the day, we want to please those guys in the living room and deliver the best solution possible for them. I mean, our view of the internet is a little different than everybody else's. We're naturally a more decentralized solution. We see in the original promise of the internet the promise of a decentralized solution. And it's a little bit ironic that all the applications that we built on top of this very decentralized network have been centralized. And I think you see that reflected in some of the challenges we've seen just this year with sort of government surveillance on a massive scale. And that's a reflection of the way we've put so much information in the hands of such a precious few providers. And BitTorrent's view of the internet and of the future is one in which we undo that damage, where we re-decentralize everything. And you see that reflected in some of our new products like BitTorrent Sync, which is in essence a distributed Dropbox, except it doesn't have the limits, it doesn't have the cost, and it doesn't have the NSA either. So, I mean, these are all things that we believe represent the future of the internet, not just for syncing, but any application you can imagine, from search to social networks to storage and backup. Anything that is today centralized, we see a world that can be decentralized. Well, I mean, there are obviously personal feelings, and then there are entities that they have a job to do and they're trying to do it. The degree to which they have sort of infringed on certain individual rights is a challenge, and I think it's a challenge that the industries as a whole will have to tackle because the biggest challenge has been the degree to which they've worked with some of the largest providers in Silicon Valley, and that's something that will definitely be reflected in the market opportunity that these companies face, but we also see that it represents other opportunities for providers like ourselves to try to undo some of that damage. And we believe it has been damaging to the internet, and especially the internet's core mission of being an open social network where anybody can leverage that to do great things. And that's what the internet has always done, and we hope that it can get past this as well and continue on that mission. Well, I think every year you see it reflected in the statistics, right? More and more internet each and every year. I think you can't look at the job that they've done and say anything but great work, fantastic. And I think this event, more than any of them, represents that promise that those trends will continue. And if it, I think that's good for society. It's definitely great for the internet. The internet doesn't work without this industry. And that's why I think it's also important for technology solutions providers that sit perhaps on the end of this network like ourselves and others to work more closely with this industry, because we want to create a sustainable future, not just for the broadband world, but the consumers, the content world. This future has to be sustainable, and everybody has to participate if it's going to continue. Well, I think it reflected in the last answer to the question. It is the one place where you can bring all the relevant stakeholders together and have a conversation like the one we just had. How are we going to address a sustainable future for video? How are over-the-top providers going to work with broadband solutions providers? Are there technologies that we can marry together to make this a more sustainable and better world? And there's no event like the Broadband World Forum to have exactly those kinds of conversations, because you have in one place all of the right people. And it's a place that you have to be each and every year.